Damn right. Too poor to buy any of those, and damn sure ain't gonna get one of those new graphics cards. Hoosier.
Sorry, what was the moment?
Sign us out, dude.
Oh my
What
god!
the hell?
Sign us out, dude. I got distracted. I'm not gonna lie, dude. A very interesting article about a NASA intern telling her boss to suck her dick over Twitter because she didn't realize it was her boss. Caught my attention. Very funny, very humorous.
And
anyway,
now we have a podcast intro. Thank you.
God damn it, Twitter.
Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of the Insert to Join podcast. My name is Jonathan. I am joined here by our usual suspects. If y'all want to go ahead and say hello to the listeners.
Hello, it's Hoosier boy. What up?
Hey, what's going on? It's Lupo.
And I'm Andy, the narrator.
All right, and this is Jonathan. So tonight we've got a little bit of a kind of a relaxed topic to go on. It's a topic everybody loves to talk about. We're going to be comparing setups and talking GPUs and stuff. I mean, we kind of touched this in one of our earlier podcasts in the beginning with just Hoosier and myself, just talking about what you need to get started. But now we're just gonna sit back and talk about what our setups actually are, things that we want to do with them, things that we're satisfied, not satisfied, how we would want to improve. So since I feel like Hoosier has probably the most complicated setup out of the group of us, why don't we start with you?
I mean, it's not nearly as complicated as it could be yet. Still debating if I want to do a two PC setup. Yeah, but long story short, my setup is a Ryzen 7 1700 CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, upgraded to a 1080 a few months ago, and actually just put in a EVGA step-up plan request to step up to a 1080 Ti for a cheap cost. So we'll see how that goes. Got a recent upgrades. Upgraded from a Blue Yeti to a AT2020 mic. With that, I got a Yamaha MG10XU mixer. With that, I also got a Sony A6000 camera I just upgraded to. Fucking love this camera. And then I got like 3 monitors. Only one of them is like 144 hertz 1080p. The other 2 are just like gimmies. I think one's a Craigslist monitor that I end up giving the other half to Hannah's brother. And then one is, dude, hand-me-downs.
Love
trying to get that guy stepped up his game, man. He's playing Fortnite on that, 70-inch TV. I don't care how good it looks. He was playing horrible. So I gave him like a 24-inch monitor, told him to step up his game. Then I got this 27-inch, I don't know. I've had this other old monitor, but it was like a Christmas present. Couldn't really tell you much about it. Big old ring light. I got that. And then outside of that, we're just talking about cosmetic shit. That's basically my setup. Oh, I do have a green screen mounted to my ceiling, but I haven't really used it in weeks. So I don't know if we want to count that. Anyway, though.
You kind of fell into the meta of the side view camera.
Yeah, and I actually like it, man. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. My motto for the whole thing, I used to tell people, if you're competitive and you don't need a green screen because no one cares about the immersion of the game. They just want to see the plays. Mm-hmm. But if you're a personality, I felt like that immersion was important. And that's why I said you needed a green screen. But like as time's gone on, dude, I've been like continuously proven wrong on that comparison. Like there's definitely like cases to be made that's not entirely false. But I've definitely seen a lot of personality content creators come out and they use not a green screen. So I don't know. It was also one of the things, like I just got a puppy. She would eat my green screen. Like I got a new camera, but the angle didn't fit right with the mount that like where I wanted the camera didn't fit where I mounted the green screen already. So like it would just take some finagling or some, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Fine tuning.
Yeah, fine tuning, a nice way to put it, or just
finesse.
Take like some sacrifice. I mean, finesse might be another one.
All right.
I mean, compromise, I think was the word I was looking for here, because like the camera angle I wanted wouldn't work for the green screen, and if I wanted the green screen, I'd have to either remount it or change the camera angle. One way or the other, it was just not going to be perfect. But to be honest, man, like not having the green screen has been really nice. I enjoy it for various reasons we could discuss, or else we could,
Personally, I never used a green screen. One, because I just didn't have the room for it. I have a very, very tiny area to work with. So, I mean, there was even a point where I wasn't using a camera at all. And I'm going to tell you, I was actually I was more comfortable as a voice personality than I was a visual personality. I enjoyed it more as a streamer. for me personally, I mean, it's always going to be personal preference. But I mean, I've got a 144 hertz 1080 curved gaming monitor that I have most of my information on, and then I've got a little 21-inch piece of junk that I, kept OBS and or chat up on, something that was just off the way, and a C920, 922 actually,
Hey.
camera that I was using the microphone on for the longest time.
Oh God.
And it served its purpose. I mean, there was nobody in my chat. It was like, I think I had one or two people that ever showed up, and nobody really cared about the audio quality. But as people started to kind of roll back in, and I started to pick up more viewers and more returning, I started to question my own quality of products that I was giving. So I ended up getting a Yeti.
There you go.
And I'm not gonna lie, the audio quality wasn't much better.
I mean, so my big thing with the Yeti was it was just super
really
convenient.
Yeah, I mean, and I tried all of the settings. I played with OBS and I played with like my computer settings for it. It wasn't copacetic. Like it wasn't the quality that I was looking for. It was a step up from the C922 mic, but not by much. So I bit the bullet and I went XLR and got an AT2035 with a Newar mount and a Ghost power source. Luckily, I already had an Asus Essence 2 STX audio card that I'd purchased, which has a 35 millimeter jack, or 3.5 millimeter jack, sorry, that was already on, built into the card. So get the right thing, get the XLR to the 3.5 millimeter to come as the outlet from the Ghost source to that, and my audio quality just skyrocketed from where it was. It doesn't help that my voice already sounds like I'm talking through a can because of my sinus problems. So there was no helping that. But I mean, I love my computer. i6700K, overclocked, GTX 1080. Like I said, I've got the A6 Essence 2 STX sound card, and HD60 Pro capture card for whenever I played games like Until Dawn or Journey or any of the PlayStation games. I mean, it's a nice simple setup, but I'll tell you what, I wish I had two PC set up for streaming. It would have made life so much easier.
That's where I'm at, man. Is like everyone tells me a 2 PC setup is like a nightmare for audio, but like you get the most out of your gaming and you're streaming that way. It's just the audio,
absolutely.
making that synced up, I'm sure is a nightmare.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that type of thing, and we kind of touched on this on our first episode a little bit, you go with the higher dollar internal cards. Like, don't go Elgato. Elgato's good for your basic setups. You're going. Some of the newer Elgatos might be, but you want to go higher dollar to kind of negate any type of audio issue. Go with a Magewell. Those cards are phenomenal. The quality of the video that you get from them and the quality of the audio with zero audio lag and delay is pristine. You're going to pay for it, but as in all things, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
So what about your setup, Lupo?
I actually recently upgraded, I guess 2 months ago now. So it's a i7 8700K, 32 gigabytes of DDR4. I think it's 3000 or 3200, which runs super smooth. 1080, not a 1080 Ti, but 1080. I'm trying to think what else in here. Water cooled for the i7. Like I have external cards. Like I've been running Xbox for a while, so it's the regular HE60 capture card. I have two monitors. One's 1440 by 144 hertz, and one's 1080 by 144 hertz. I actually have a 13-inch like scrap monitor for like a chat monitor, which is like nice to have on the side. And then I use 1922 and 1920 cams, and then I have the Blue Yeti as well. So I mean, that's like if I could do anything right now, that's probably like the one major upgrade I make is definitely like the audio quality.
Yeah.
I don't have the room for it right now. So like I'm in a very unique setup where my entire rig's got to be portable and mobile. So adding extra stuff to the desktop space is just not feasible for me right now. So like having an extra either audio interface or or mixer or something like that is just something else that could possibly shift it, be shifted around. So I have to make things work in my own unique situation. So having something that's USB, I mean, the Yeti's probably one of the best just straight up USB mics. I'm sure like you could nitpick some of the other things out there, like whether you go the AT2020 USB is out there, and they have some other USBs. But I mean, I think I got mine for $75 on Black Friday or something like that. So you really can't beat prices, and that's something you have to look at as well. Like going all out for an XLR, like a mic alone, you're gonna go anywhere from $100 to $300 plus your audio interface and all that kind of stuff. So things add up, But I mean, for like, I'm happy with my setup right now. I was using a 70-inch 4K. I'm sorry, you said 70 before, and I got that in the back of my head now. But I have the 49-inch 4K Samsung that I was using for Xbox, and I recently switched over to using the 1080 monitor while I'm streaming because being closer to it just makes a huge difference. I never realized it like competitively. It's like night and day what you can see and the kind of reaction time you can have to things. It's actually incredible. That's my rig like for now. So I mean, I'm always looking to upgrade. Like the second you buy something and have it and install it, you're automatically looking at something else. It's like it's a disease, like but it's a good thing, it's not like necessarily bad, but it's going to hurt your pocket in the long run.
Also, don't forget about the
it's
inevitable
just
curse.
the law of the land.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's just how it goes. Okay, I've got this. What's next?
Yeah, but don't forget about the curse where like you buy something and then the next week it's like all cheaper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, audio quality is always your absolute bane.
Yeah, man. I mean, audio was a big thing for me. That's why I paid a pretty penny to get here. What really surprised me though is I did a lot of research, and dude, I was so close to pulling the trigger and getting like a Shure SM7B or a Electro Voice RE20, like two very high quality, top tier industry standard mics. And I ended up pulling the AT2020 because it was such a good deal.
Wait, the two that you almost pulled, those are both condenser mics, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both just like high quality condenser mics. So like what I ended up getting though was like a $75. I got an AT2020 for like, almost $200. I got this mixer, which the mixer is good for any XLR mic, but the only reason I got the 2020 is that at $75 for this was a really good deal compared to dropping the $400 I was debating dropping on anything else. And to be honest, like I like my quality. Like I'm sure it can be improved upon, but where I'm at now, coming for what I was coming from, like I didn't really need a $400 mic,
For sure.
Yeah, so I'm glad with what I got. I'm happy with what I have. It could honestly be better, but I think the difference is so minimal. I don't really care.
Yeah, I think that's always a good conversation to have too when we're talking about setups. Is like, at what price is the quality that you're trying to achieve? Like,
Just like too much.
Yeah, like where do you draw the line? And most of the time, it's like those minimalistic differences in quality aren't worth like the $200+ price cap that comes with the difference between the AT2020 and some $400 mic. It's just usually not there.
Yeah, I'd say that it's probably going to be the line gets drawn at the level of support behind you, meaning your basic concurrent viewership. Are you trying to entertain 50 to 100 people, or are you, say, Shroud, Dr. Disrespect, or the like, trying to entertain 30,000? So I would say your price point is going to be really controlled by the level of entertainment you're trying to provide.
Yeah, but then also like that's a good point because like at that level, you're not really worried about minor fees. Like $400 to increase the quality of your mic will be made up in a heartbeat at that level.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But I mean, at our level, like it could take several months to a certain degree, right? I was very fortunate. It's like basically my mic setup was entirely actually funded by the 1 month that Mixer had free subs, right? I saw a huge point of growth there. Yeah, I mean, I made a huge point of growth during that time. Pretty much every content creator did, at least every partner on Mixer, and like it was basically just free little boost, get yourself something nice, and this was my something nice. not everybody has that, right? Like I'm very fortunate to be in that position to have, something on the side to benefit. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like my audio a lot, but part of me is still, like I said, part of me wants that 2 PC setup. But that's like the creme de la creme, right? Like that's like the finer things that you don't really need, but it really like solves a few issues, right? Like if you have one game that like runs your computer really hard, or one patch that runs a game really hard, you don't have to worry about it affecting your stream. It just affects the game because if that computer crashes because you overload your CPU or overload your GPU, it only crashes one of the computers, not both of them. Sure. And then like if you get the most from both, your computer can totally dedicate itself to running all your audio software and all your, stream stuff on one machine. And then, you get all the max beautiful frames on the other PC. So that's the dream, man. But we're a little bit away from that one. I mean, we'll see, dude. If that 2020 ends up being worth it, then maybe that'll be my second CPU or my second GPU. And then if I end up getting that 1080 Ti through the EVGA upgrade program, then maybe I'll just try to finagle my way through some really nice refurbished CPUs and RAM or something. Try to piece together a second computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say, because honestly, the new Ryzen CPUs are really starting to get my attention. Like I was never an AMD fan. Like I tried using AMD as like a CPU way back in let's say it was like 2004, 2005. And it was an absolute nightmare. It kept overheating. Like I had ordered an Alienware computer before Dell bought them, so it was a real Alienware. And I was like, all right, so this AMD CPU is actually nice. Let me try and get that. 3 returns later, because this CPU kept overheating and frying, I was like, you know what? Just go ahead and put an Intel in it, and I'm never using AMD ever again. Like that was, the burn that it gave me. And
that's what I heard, man. Like I didn't build a computer until like 2 years ago, or going on 2 years ago.
AMD was horrible with their CPUs. They've always had fairly decent GPUs, but the one thing is being a content creator that I learned in the last few years was that streaming from or encoding your stream through your CPU can be to your detriment if you don't have a system that can hold it. So if you have an NVIDIA GPU with a GTX 980 or above, you can actually use the NVEC coding built into the GPU and encode your stream through that. So that way your CPU can focus on all of its basic functions, and the GPU can focus on the visual encoding. And it makes things run so much smoother. Your quality of stream gets better for visually. Like you can actually get better frames, not only in OBS, but in the game as well. But I would 100% say not a Ryzen GPU, just for that fact, because you would have to.
Wait, you mean Ryzen CPU, or are you just talking about like a?
Yeah, well, no. If you have a Ryzen GPU, you
just mean like the 580 series, like the Radeon stuff.
Yeah. So okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's an AMD CPU. Period. You cannot encode your stream through AMD. You have to have an NVIDIA to use GPU encoding.
Yeah, so like Ryzen's really good if you want to use X264 encoding, but if you're like wanting to use, NVENC, then your only option is to go, NVIDIA GPU.
Yeah, so 100% what I would be doing for if I had a two PC setup, because this is kind of where this is going, is my stream PC would be 100 would be an NVIDIA GPU, and my stream PC would be, because honestly the new Ryzen CPUs are honestly they're better than the Intel ones that have been coming out lately. So I would 100% put a Ryzen CPU and for the gaming PC.
Yeah, I mean I like my Ryzen a lot.
Other way, for the streaming PC, Ryzen, gaming PC, NVIDIA GPU. So.
Yeah, I mean I like my Ryzen a lot, man. I just think I would like an Intel, computer to compare with at least once. And then from then on, I'll have, like a more solid baseline to compare with.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say, yeah, get you can get an Intel or a Ryzen on your gaming, but as long as it has, for at least for me, as long as that the gaming PC needs to have an NVIDIA card, and then I would want the streaming PC to have a Ryzen CPU.
I mean, what do you guys think about it, Andy and Lupo? Do you guys have a preference on that whole regard? Like, what are your guys' goals for your setups?
I mean, personally, like, for me, I've used only Intel, Intel and NVIDIA. So since I started streaming, I used to use 6700 with what was it, 960, and then when I upgraded, it was a 8700 and a 1080. So I used NVENC encoding for like the longest time because I wasn't like gaming on the same PC. But as a whole, you actually get better video quality from X264 encoding. So like that's why I made the switch and decided to go with the more powerful CPU to get that quality level out of it, because I can run 4.7 boost clock on the 8700K and not sweat. Like I never tip over like 20% usage at all. So like that was a choice that I made. But like you said, if I had the option to have a second PC, I might just get the 8700 just to game on, and then use a Ryzen for streaming. Ryzen for streaming with a NVIDIA card to encode.
So
I mean that's definitely the move.
Let me tell you, when I was, because I have a single PC setup, Intel CPU, NVIDIA GPU, just like you, using the NVENC coding, the GPU encoding, my CPU usage never went above 5%.
Mm-hmm.
The video quality is actually increased with GPU, because instead of the CPU trying to pull the image and encode it itself for the visual effect, you're pulling the image directly from the source. So you're automatically getting a higher quality video by doing GPU, because you're cutting out the middleman instead of sending the information from the CPU through whatever channels it needs to be encoded for the CPU. You're going directly to it and pulling that information straight from the source.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have issues with 264. That's why the whole reason I went NVENC, but that was just me.
Don't forget about the compression too, that, or like whenever
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the CPU encoding. Yeah, I mean, there's a compression that comes with that, and that increases your CPU usage, as well as all of the other functions that the computer is trying to do to keep up with all of its background and other functions you're putting on top of it.
Right. I was speaking more about like whenever you broadcast, all of your data and your information that you're sending gets smashed through someone else's cookie cutter server.
Yeah,
so that also is like a big role. So like I think to a certain degree, you start talking about the semantics of like how crisp and clear your quality is when you're looking at it. But whenever it goes through the server and is broadcast on Twitch or Mixer or whatever, all of their compression settings and all of their data finagling also gets applied to the video. So it's kind of like it's going to look like what Mixer's output looks like or what Twitch's output looks like in the long run. Of course, you can always like achieve higher quality. But yeah, I think that to a certain degree, you start to talk about semantics. I think that as long as the equipment is just delivering a high quality image, I think it's good to go.
Exactly, man. Yeah, there's also the case of like for me, you need like a really high bit rate to use like NVENC encoding, but there's always like that fine line of like if you use too much bit rate, then people won't even be able to watch your stream, period. So there's like a fine line of like where's that balance of like putting out a stream that you're comfortable with and that's too much for your viewers' internet. So like, with all that aside, man, though, like what's like your guys' dream setup looking like? I mean, truthfully, like I've mentioned I want a double PC setup, obviously we all want top line GPUs, but like when it's all said and done, man, do you guys have like, that picture? Like what's the thing that you guys want the most like right now?
Okay, the thing I want the most, because I'm just such like an anal bastard about aesthetics, is 3 monitors that are all the same.
Dude, same.
Okay.
Every single monitor is different, dude. You actually just nailed it.
Here's mine. Okay, I am the 21-inch monitor that I have, 21 and a half. Sorry. Okay, 21 and a half inch monitor I have is actually an ideal thing for what I want to use. Okay, so what I want is I want another 27-inch curved gaming monitor that is exactly the same as the one I have that is mounted directly above it, so that they are one on top of the other. The second, or the monitor on the side, instead of having it turned horizontal, I would want it turned vertical next to the other two.
Yeah, I got a
Okay.
vertical monitor.
So
As do I.
that's what I want. That is honestly my perfect setup. Two curved monitors, one on top of the other, because you can't get a straight one and put it on top of the curve. That just looks funny.
Yeah.
So you get another curved monitor so that it matches. You've got a nice little angle there, right? And then you've got the normal monitor turned sideways. Okay. Now the reason I would want that is I would be putting chat on that vertical monitor, so I would be able to see more of chat and keep more of chat available to me to look at.
Mm-hmm. For me, like my dream setup right now, man, if I could change anything, would just be a 2 PC setup. That just perfectly worked. I would just love to get the best of both, not having to compromise for the stream or gaming. I don't really, yeah, because I mean, I made a lot of expensive moves, right? I got the new Sony A6000, got this mic that I'm comfortable with. So, like, truthfully, all I want is that second computer to take the load off.
Mhm.
We're a little ways away because that investment's going to be like, a $1,200, $2,000 looking drop, depending on the graphics card I put in it and whatnot. So, we're a little ways away from that one, man. But even then, it's
would you put in one of the new NVIDIA GPUs?
I mean, I actually
the new
pre-ordered the
RTXs?
Amazon, but you don't pay for it yet. So I pre-ordered a 2080 EVGA UX edition or whatever. So I talked to my a few buddies, and they hyped it up, right? They showed all these amazing graphics. They talked about it. They showed scales, but truthfully, they didn't show like fair scales. They just said that this one does 30% more, or this one does twice as many, or 10 times as many, 8 times as many gigaarrays. But like,
Which is actually it's a new unit of measure. Like,
yeah,
it's not
exactly.
even a standard unit of measure. So that's the thing that, like, I understand where you're going, and it's like a tough place to tread right now because you don't know what it's going to do. Like, I understand that the real-time ray tracing is a thing, and they've been working on the Turing set for a long time. But
in Hoosier's Discord, I put a link for our chat. In that, there is a that came from I think it was by PC Gamer article that has a link in it that will show you and explain to you how real-time ray tracing works. So you can actually see things that have and are using right now, because real-time ray tracing is actually an API released by Microsoft, which is what is powering the new Turing chipset in the new RTX NVIDIA card.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I have no doubt that these cards are probably like, more powerful and probably worth, the money. It's just like the direction Lupo and I were going is that it's a whole new like scale of grading. So like, basically the only metaphor I have for this is the old cards were judged on how fast they are. They're judged, it's a sprint, right? They're judged on how fast they can run a sprint. But these new cards seem to be measured on how much they can lift. And those are two very dynamics, right? Like if you're a super jacked guy, you wouldn't be expected to be the fastest guy in the world. Just like if you're the fastest guy in the world, you wouldn't be expected to be the most jacked. So I'm just wondering, like, in regards to what I expect out of a graphics card, what are these new graphics cards going to do for me?
So the number of cores in a GTX 1080 that make it fast, they have more than doubled in the RTX. They have the same type of cores.
The CUDA cores or whatever?
Yeah, so you're still getting the speed plus some. Then they're adding on top of that the new Turing chipsets with real-time ray tracing.
Okay, so you're saying they added more of the technology that we do know about, like technology we trust, and combining it with new technology that does some of the other shit better.
Correct.
Okay, fair. I can live with that. And like if that's what they said, and like if they explained it, like got to that point, they were like, hey, because what I wanted them to tell me was at 1080, these are the frames I should be getting in PUBG. Like what I wanted were like, ray tracing looked cool. The models look fantastic. I think their seminar and whatever was a little long-winded, but successful.
Well, it was also meant for the more technical side, not the.
Yeah, like the general consumer, I get it. Like they're giving the technical guys all the information they need to come back to the general consumer.
They also needed to sell to the industry.
Absolutely.
And I get that. And like maybe that's the case. Maybe this wasn't my, the convention built for me per se. Maybe it was the convention built for everyone who's going to then build for me or, send it to me. But the whole point I was hoping for was I wanted to see the most demanding game they could find at the highest resolution they could put it out with the highest frames that would drop my jaw. Like that's what I was hoping.
It's also for the industry that designs anything that renders, so like games and CGI and stuff like that. They're playing that card as well because
Like how to make the most of these cards. Like these cards aren't going to worth shit if no one utilizes that ray tracing technology.
They're not selling to gamers. They're not selling to the basic consumer at those conferences. They're selling to the industry standard and to the back end user. So this is why you want to use our product and not that one.
Yeah, and ray tracing is an incredibly technical term, and that's why all the technical mumbo jumbo came out first. Because it's like, I mean, it's been around for a really long time, but it's never been as accessible as these new cards seem to make it.
Yeah, they definitely like sold me on the process. Like I understood to a degree how they were going about it before, like with their inverse ray tracing, where they were starting from the eye and tracing to the light source. Like I got that. The new tech I didn't fully understand, but like they sold me on the products. I feel like for 40 minutes, they just kept buying. I kept buying the products. I get what your point is. It's a good point. It's a good point. It's a good point. I don't mean to critique their press conference. I just wanted more of like, you've already sold me on the good shit. Now tell me more why I should care. This is why it's better. Now show me like the end game. But that's just my personal critique, man. Yeah, you know what I mean, 2080's got me excited. I'm sure I want my new setup. If it's worth the money, I'm probably have a 2080, and then the 1080 Ti will go on my second PC. Like we'll see.
Yeah. So the reason. So what you're actually looking for is after the release date, you're looking for articles from Tiger Direct, from Kotaku, from PC Gamer, for the performance review. That's what you're looking for from that technical conference.
We won't really see the effects of this for like another, I would say, the next generation of games in general.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we're not gonna see anything that is going to be designed or optimized, like Andy said, for ray tracing until at least early spring 2020.
I agree.
I think that's probably going to be the earliest point where we're going to be hearing of games that are optimized for ray tracing. Now, that's not to say that games that we have won't benefit from it, but we're not going to be able to see the full effect of what those cards can properly do until there is a game that's optimized for it.
Yeah, and even then, man, like I don't know if I'm even gonna give a shit about it. I mean, truthfully, like even with like my you know what I mean? Like with my 1080 and 1080 Ti right now, like I don't care what I get for upscaled 4K 30 frames. Like I don't give a shit. Like I don't care how good it looks if it doesn't play at like a crisp stable 60, right? And even then, like if I'm playing hyper competitive games, which is like my thing, then like I'm gonna want 144. So at least in my case, and even like games like PUBG, it actually hurts you more to have like higher quality because it makes it harder to see enemies. So like in those cases, I just want like a professional, like what I would like to see, or what I hope people do tests on going forward. I want them to be like, okay, hey, here's how Ninja plays Fortnite with a 2080. He gets like 1 million frames. It's great. Or here's what the professional PUBG team X money does with their, fucking with our 2080s. Like fake pro team does this, fake Overwatch League team does this, right? Like I don't care. Like I just want to see it in practical use. And I don't need like the 4K frames. Like if I run it with 1080, can I expect 500 frames? Like I don't know. If I run it 1440p, which is going to be like my next visual investment, can I expect at least 60 plus, like 144? Like
I'm with you. I don't know that I'm going to need any more than that ever, but for the way that technology is going, honestly, and the VR technology more specifically, I think that the real-time ray tracing will have a major effect on how well VR game will be able to be presented.
For sure. I think it's not even ending there. I think as people start to kind of latch on to the ray tracing for gaming, I think we're going to see like dramatic increase across the board. And then eventually I would imagine that, this first iteration will eventually just look so bad in like 2 years when they finally like fully optimized as much of it as possible.
I think we've got a lot of really good information tonight. There's a lot of good opinions, and we had an absolutely amazing discussion. We've pretty much covered everything that we can for the night. So I do want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us and listening. So my name is Jonathan. You can find me on Twitter, Infected Ground Zero. I and O are the only vowels from the front and the end because I'm too poor to buy any others.
Damn right. Too poor to buy any of those, and damn sure ain't gonna get one of those new graphics cards. Who's
Sorry, what was the moment?
sign us out, dude?
My
What
God.
the hell?
Sign us out, dude. I got
Scratching
distracted.
balls.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. A very interesting article about a NASA intern telling her boss to suck her dick over Twitter because she didn't realize it was her boss. Caught my attention. Very funny, very
Right.
humorous.
And
anyway,
now
back
we
to the
have
point.
a podcast intro. Thank you.
God damn it, Twitter. Anyway, so yeah, thank you guys for spending the night with us today, man. Be sure to check out our past episodes, future episodes, current episodes, all the episodes at inserttojoin.podbean.com. Soon to be aiming on to be YouTube, Twitter, we're actually on YouTube and Twitter, but that's beside the point. We're actually gonna be on that Spotify soon, hopefully, and maybe that Apple sometime, maybe. Catch us there at Insert to Join. I'm Hoosier Boy at Hoosier Boy TV on all platforms. And catch me there.
And you can catch me on all platforms, Twitter, Mixer, Instagram, at Lupo to the rescue.
And I'm Andy, the narrator, anywhere you're going to be on the internet at any point in time.
Except fucking Discord, where he's only the narrator, and it fucks me every time I try to DM him.
Hey, you chill
Besides
out,
there,
man.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, thank you all for stopping by. Will you insert to join?